Iridium. Look at who I've got with me today. I've got Mark Clower with me. I've got Jam. And I've got Darren O'Sullivan from Sleeve Saturday. How you doing, guys?
Right, thank you. Yeah. All right, chaps.
Yeah, so we did say we was going to come back for part 2, and this is the Desert Island albums, and we're not talking there was an actual record label called Desert Island, wasn't there? Do you remember that? Was there? Oh, is it? Am I going fucking mad?
No, I vaguely remember the name. Yeah.
I remember a palm tree. Yes, Island. It must be Island.
And Fracture Science.
I didn't want to get everyone confused, thinking we're going to name bands that were on that label. This ain't what this is about. Obviously, this is about the albums. I don't want to go for all the technical stuff again, but I will. Obviously, we're on a desert island. Yeah, we had 5 albums last week that we chose. We're going to choose another 5, but it's somehow you got to play these albums. So we're talking some sort of futuristic. Solar powered CD player or phone?
Lee, I had a thought since last week. You were talking about solar power, and on Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews, as I said last week, you kind of get the mechanism of how this works. I've got a new mechanism. I'm sitting on a deck chair, supping a beer, and you're cycling a bike, which powers my record player. Perfect.
Yeah, but so we're stuck on to get a desert island with each other. So you better choose some good albums, because I don't want to say, yeah. You know what I mean? So right, so yeah, this is part 2. So we've done 5 last week. This is the second 5, because we thought we can't keep going on forever. 10's got to be, that is the what we got to choose each. So also, I mean, I was speaking to the guys beforehand, Darren, before you just came on, and if there's any that you want to mention that you tore your hair out. Obviously, I've been tearing my hair out for years, but you know what I mean? Because there's a couple that really I had to fight myself with, but we can mention them, but you still can't take them to the island with you. So there you go. All right. So why don't we go? I can't remember what we did last week, but I did top left, and this is the way it looks to me. I'm going to go with Darren first, then I'm going to go Jam and Mark, if that's all right. We'll go Darren first on this second 5. Go on then, mate.
All right, so I'll kick off with something that's probably a lot lighter than what Jam and Mark are going to come up with, as usual. But I'm going to go with, it was a bit of a toss-up for me this week between Chicago 16 and Chicago 17. And I went with Chicago 17. It's just... you guys might not necessarily go for it, but it's a David Foster produced album like the previous one. It's the kind of Chicago were a great band in the 1970s, a horn kind of driven kind of band, jam band kind of thing, that there was not necessarily a front member of the group. It was always a everyone's a member. We don't have a front man necessarily. But when it came into this point in their career around 1984, for Chicago 17, Peter Cetera had kind of stepped out in front, and he made a bit of a bond with David Foster, who was producing the album at the time, which alienated probably the rest of the horn section of the group. And I'd say these days the likes of Bill Champlin and Robert Lamb are probably quite embarrassed by this era of Chicago. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Hard Habit to Break. You're the Inspiration. You know, I'm a big fan of you might have seen it from my channel. I'm a big fan of the Cobra Kai series, and I loved how they brought back the sounds of Chicago and Peter Cetera back into that TV show. They're quite embarrassed by it these days, but at this point, I think this is the golden era for Chicago for me, and I will get, like I did with the Genesis fans, I will get hung for saying that. But
how many bands did that? You know, your Journey as well, didn't you? Changed completely, made a shift into that when the 80s came, into that sort of melodic, I suppose, you know, hits, if you like. You know, and so many bands as well use different singers. Journey used to do it, didn't they? And then they, you know, like it was a bit like that, and then they become. I'm with you on this, mate. Them sort of bands. I like the 80s stuff with all those sort of bands. I don't even mind Chicago, some of their hits. They're the ones I know, to tell you the truth, aren't they? They're the ones I've heard.
Well, you're right, Lee. That's what I'm kind of getting at is that, you know, they almost resent these songs these days, and they kind of, I don't want to play that live, like some Robert Lamb, but they're the ones everyone knows. It's the ones that paid for their mortgage, you know. Don't hate on Peter Cetera too much. Enjoy what he did for you. He made your career. I'm going to get shot for that, but he did. One last thing I'd say is I saw Peter Cetera live in Dublin in a small venue in 2019, and the man is 70 years of age. Vocal still sounds great.
Good, mate. Excellent. Good first choice then, mate. We're going to go Jam next for your, it's your 6th album, isn't it? To take
sixth album, right. Okay, go to one of my favourite artists. I would say band, but they're not really a band anymore. This is from 1990, and it is the man himself, Glenn Danzig. Danzig 2, Lucifuge, I think you pronounce it. I don't know. Nice picture of his chest on the rear. This is one of the vinyls. It isn't actually original. This is one I bought recently, so one of the few. But I had it on tape or CD before. Released in 1990 on Deaf American Records. Released. Mixed obviously by Rick Rubin, who did all the things on his label. And this is the classic lineup of Glenn Danzig on vocals and John Christ on guitar, Eerie Von on bass, and then the wonderfully named Chuck Biscuits on drums. So it's Danzig's second album, but it's a bit more bluesy than the first album. And I'm not a big fan of blues particularly either, but it's heavy blues. I'm not particularly a big fan of this, but I got into Danzig before I even knew he was in the Misfits. And there was also in the Samhain band as well, which I listened to afterwards, which is that was a sort of a cross between Misfits and the Danzig, what it became, but I listened to that afterwards. So this is the first thing I ever heard from Danzig, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I love this album. Every song on it is definitely 100%. I know Mark likes Danzig, don't you? Yeah, this album is brilliant. It's quite bluesy, but it's still heavy, sing-alongable, if that's a word, and it's just fantastic. Still sounds pretty good, because Rick Rubin's got various levels of production. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not quite so good. Sometimes it didn't fit in, because I think he did a Black Sabbath album. That was Ice-T fellas, wasn't it? But some of his production's not brilliant all the time, but this is really good, I think. And yes, it's one of the albums I would put on now. And songs like Long Way Back from Hell, Devil's Plaything, Blood and Tears, they're just all fantastic songs. I mean, I think even Darren would like this. It's not over the top heavy. It's certainly accessible. I don't know if Lee likes Danzig or not, but some people don't like his voice. His voice is sort of a cross between Jim Morrison stroke Elvis, so it's very good. It's not as good now. He's obviously an old man now. He's about 70, over 70, I think, Danzig. But at the time, it's fantastic. So.
Never really heard it, mate, to tell you the truth. Never really heard any of his stuff. So
you like it, I think. But
I'm a bit weird though. I don't, with stuff. Usually, it's a lot of the time when I haven't heard something, it might be for a reason. I don't know. It's probably what I've heard about them, and I should really running a music channel, give it a go, shouldn't I? Really? So there you
must
go.
have heard Mother. You've heard Mother, haven't you?
No. Well, there could be something that I've heard, but somewhere along the line, but I can't remember. But yeah,
Lee, this is why I think you've assembled a great roster on your channel, because I'm not even joking here. This is why I think you've assembled a great roster, because with Mark and Jam and Dom and myself and the other guys you have, everyone's bringing a little bit something to the channel, aren't they? You can go around, and even the first two choices here, I don't know what's up for Mark, but something a little bit different each time, and everyone brings a little bit something to the table.
Well, Jam especially surprised me a lot last week, and with some of them choices, I wasn't expecting those. So it just shows you. Mind you, Jam, you've been sort of, since the channel began, you've been suggesting songs and stuff that I've never heard. So no, it's good.
Oh, likewise.
It is good. It is really good. Right, okay. I like the T-shirt, by the way, Mark. I don't really like the band, but I like the T-shirt.
I like both. Ghosts are really good, I think. I think they're very good.
Okay, what you got, mate?
I just wanted to say, I think if you listen to some bands, the first three albums are classic.
Yeah, right. Brilliant.
I think you would enjoy quite a bit of it if you did. Give it a chance.
Oh, mate. Cheers.
Anyway, my first one is going to be UFO Walk on Water. This was the reunion album in 1995 with Michael Schenker and the rest of the classic lineup. this album is a 10 out of 10 to me. Not a weak song on it. UFO's catalog over the years has been very hit and miss with me. But this one, like I said, is a 10 out of 10. I can throw it in the CD player, and it doesn't matter where it lands. It's going to be on a great song. Always loved Michael Schenker, with the exception of that one album I mentioned on the. For the most part, I love everything he's done, and this is way up on my list of projects he's been involved with. Unfortunately, that lineup dissolved again a few years later. The old personality started clashing again, and it didn't last too long. That was an awesome album.
That was a bit wild, that band and all that earlier on, weren't they? They drugs and really like heavy into drugs, weren't they? UFO.
They definitely had that love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Very volatile. But when they gelled, it produced good product.
They used to hang with Bon Scott, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, I think they used to party with Bon Scott. I think he was with the guys. Might have been with the guys like around the time that he died that night.
Yeah.
But he was a drinker, Bon Scott. Never into the drugs, but I think UFO were like heavily drug band. But yeah, mind you, that's all rumours, by the way. It's all Wikipedia, in case I'm wrong. All right. Obviously. Okay. Great choices, guys. Really unexpected, by the way. So just to make it where I'm doing the obvious, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose something a bit obvious. I've been really fighting myself over these 5 choices. And I nearly didn't choose this one because there's a big connection with this band from an album that I chose last week when we did our first 5. And that was Ronnie James Dio. He's a connection with this. So I've got to have 2 albums with Ronnie singing. I've gone Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. I just can't, I don't think I could do without it, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I mean, it's such a big part of me growing up. It's so fresh still for me. Do you know what I mean? When you've heard an album, no exaggeration, maybe, I don't know, 10,000 times. That's just my number I'm plucking out of the air, but I must have heard some of these songs. I can't even think how many times, and it still sounds fresh to me. And I was fighting myself over this and Mob Rules, to tell you the truth as well, because Mob Rules is just so good as well. But Heaven and Hell pips it to the post. It's just brilliant. One of Dio's best performances ever. And I think we was talking about his string, weren't we, of albums. I think it might have been on the last episode. This was obviously one of them, right in the middle. Look at the albums that Dio sang on, from the Rainbow ones right through to maybe the last in line. Just, you know, how many singers have sang on albums that good? You know, near enough 10 out of 10 albums. So Heaven and Hell, full of classics. Can't get enough of it. Absolutely superb. That's my number 6. All right, guys?
The only reason that one is not on my list is I knew you were going to pick it.
Well, I mean, because I chose last in line last week, did you think there'd be a chance I wouldn't? Because I
would have been really shocked if you didn't, because I knew how much you love this album as I do. And I kind of like you, I didn't want to have, even though I had a Tony Martin album, I kind of didn't want to have 2 Sabbath albums.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I
was real close to picking that one, but I was about 90% sure you were going to bring that one.
There you go. I'm going for the oldest year first, like I did. I think I did that last week. That's the oldest album I've got on my list, 1980, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Darren, number 7, mate. What you got?
Yeah, no, I haven't thought it through as much as you have. When you go, I'm going oldest to newest and that kind of stuff. That's you know, I'll leave that to the admin of the channel to come up with that kind of thought process. But I've gone with a little bit older than that, actually. I've gone with an album I love. I know Jam brought it up last week. You know, he brought up an older album. Was it Dark Side of the Moon? You brought up, Jam?
Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Great album. I'm going back again. I'm going to go the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big Rolling Stones fan, as you guys know. Black and Blue, 1976. remember, we've got to get a little bit back to what we were thinking here, and the idea for the video was desert island albums. And if I want to hear an album on the desert island, I want to give something that gives me a little bit of flavor as I go through it. I think we've all mentioned that at some point in all of our choices.
Yeah.
And I think Black and Blue gives you a little bit of everything. You've got a bit of reggae on Cherry O Baby. You've got a bit of the blues rock on Melody. You've got a bit of rock music on Negrita on this. No, this wasn't an album for the Stones that had the biggest singles, but for me, it's certainly concentrated in terms of its core ability in terms of an album to give you some great songs. Not necessarily radio friendly, but definitely toe tappers if you want to go through an album and listen to it. And Memory Motel from Black and Blue is just a 7-minute ballad about a guy meeting a woman for a one-night stand. Another musician, she's a musician herself, and they have a one-night stand in a motel on Long Island, which still exists, by the way, called the Memory Motel. It's Mick and Keith. I don't know if there's much appetite for Mick and Keith in this group, but it's Mick and Keith at their very best, and it is just a stunning 7-minute track that you can listen to as almost a story, if you will. But I love the Stones, man. Black and Blue, 1976.
Yeah,
Choice,
I'm a big fan of the Stones, actually. I had a period when I was buying all their albums and then listening to them and going all the way through from the start, pretty much up to where they were. And I've luckily seen them a couple of times as well. And I think Black and Blue wasn't one of my favourites, but there was certainly a period where they did like Beggar's Banquet, Sticky Fingers, and Exile on Main Street, Let It Bleed. I think it was all about 4 or 5 albums in a row, and they're all classic period from there. And they're just really good stuff. Even up to Tattoo You was pretty good. And I also liked Steel Wheels and Voodoo Lounge in the sort of late 80s, 90s as well. I thought were pretty good. But no, big fan.
Well, you've surprised me by saying you like the Stones, and then as you went through the albums, I went, yeah, I guess Jam would like them. But when you said Steel Wheels, 1990, 1989, I didn't think that would be your jam, if you will. But
no, I think it was. No, I think it's back to childhood again. My dad had Flashpoint on CD, tape or whatever, which was from the Steel Wheels tour. It was a live album, so that's probably where I got that from. But yeah,
cool.
I remember that live album when I was a kid. That live album was great.
It's got Match. It's got a really good cover, hasn't it? It's got Match on the front. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Jesus, Lee, we have to meet up. The 4 of us and Dom just sit in a living room somewhere and just play a whole lot of tunes and drink a few beers. My God, what an evening that would be.
I agree.
Would be good.
I agree. It would be good, mate. And we're allowed to now, so we can. You know,
yeah.
There you go. Okay, you have to come to Cornwall, though, because you Saturday. And you can get to the beach.
Oh, good, Lee. We'll all come to you and make it easy on you, Lee. Right? Yes. Don't worry about it. Right?
Well, I'm looking at the pub as well across the road. So here you go. Okay, great choice, though, mate. Another choice that's different for all the guys. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, Jam, what you got, mate?
Well, sticking with that theme, I'm going back even further. I'm going back to 60s music. But released in 1985, and it is The Doors and The Best of the Doors. I absolutely love The Doors. Obviously, for those who don't know, but Jim Morrison, obviously, long gone Jim Morrison, never shared the same air, unfortunately. Ray Manzarek and John Densmore and Robbie Krieger, obviously, the rest of the band. It's a strange one because I never even heard a Doors song until the film came out. I think it was in 1991, the Oliver Stone film, The Doors. And I watched that film and it's like, that is what a rock star is. That is, it's apparently not very true, but a lot of it sort of artistic license. But it just made me want to, to be a rock star. Not that I ever was, of course, but and then I got into the music and I just absolutely love The Doors. My brother Ed's the same. We absolutely just love The Doors. I've got a big, massive picture of Jim Morrison on our wall in the front room, and I like all the songs. It's strange because there's no bass in it. It's all the bass is played by Ram Manzarek on his keyboard setup thing, and it's just brilliant. Roadhouse Blues. What a song! Woke up this morning, got myself a beer. Can't beat lyrics like that. LA Woman. What a fantastic song. Riders on the Storm and the end. Every song is there is some weird, dodgy Doors songs. I will say that. And I think perhaps not all the albums are fantastic consistent the way through. But the Best of the Doors obviously has got all the best songs on it, and there's some really good songs that they don't have on there, like Gloria, which is a cover version. I think is a fantastic song that they do as well. So, yeah, the Doors. Best of the Doors.
It's a good choice, Lee, isn't it? Because Lee, you know, when you want to do some YouTube videos, you want to get them out as quick as you possibly can. You know, I want to do a YouTube video on this. I want to do a YouTube video on that. Like the Doors is like one that you want to get around to, isn't it? You know, you just want to like there's so many bands you want to get around to, and that is definitely certainly on my list. I don't know about you, but it's a great choice by Jam. Absolutely brilliant.
No, great choice. Definitely good one, mate. Okay, you going to surprise us with anything, Mark, or what?
Most of mine are pretty predictable as far as genre. This one I've mentioned, I think, one time before in another video. It's not Dio, but it's very Dio, heavily Dio related. Album is by Feinstein, who was Dio's cousin, David Rock Feinstein. The album is called Third Wish, came out in 2004. This is another one to me that's at least a 9 out of 10. Awesome album that nobody's ever heard of. Like I said, Feinstein was the guitarist in the Rods. He even looked a bit like Dio. You can see that picture. But they were cousins. The vocalist on this is a guy named John West, and the music kind of has a Dio vibe to it, so it's in that genre. But again,
I think the only difference is his cousin was a bit taller than Dio. He was 4'4", I think, or 4'5".
so his cousin's the fella, but he doesn't sing.
What's that?
So Feinstein is his cousin, but he doesn't sing.
He does sing. He sang. He doesn't sing on this.
Oh, see, right.
Strictly the guitarist on this.
Right.
He did some vocals in the Rods, and years later he recorded another solo album. In fact, it included Dio's last recorded song. It was I can't remember the name of the song. But anyway, Dio had a song on his last solo album. It was the last Dio song that was recorded after he died, or it was released after he died. Anyway, this album, the song "Third Wish" is about being stranded on a desert island. So I think
There you go.
The irony of it.
Yeah,
very, very apt.
Great, mate. Great choice. That I've heard that, by the way. It's good. I've heard he's had quite a few albums out or appearances on albums. You know, it varies, doesn't it? Quite a way back, but he's got some good stuff out here. So my second choice, guys, a real obvious one again. I couldn't not have an Iron Maiden album on here. I can't go to Desert Island without Iron Maiden, and it's my favourite album from them. Without breaking it down and going for each track and scoring a track like I do, I haven't done that. So it might actually be. I think it's my top album, and it's Power Slave, 1984. I just think they were at the top of their game here. This is the last album before, for me, you know, where it started to wane off a bit from what I liked. I thought they was really at their strengths. Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind was just so close to this, and then Power Slave was the ultimate guitar album, if you like. I mean, some of the intricate guitaring on here, I don't think they've ever topped it. Rhyme the Ancient Mariner's on here as well, which is just a epic 13.5 minute, flies by like it's 5 minutes long or something.
Yeah.
Amazing opener, Aces High, obviously. And also the next year, remember, Darren, I got to see him down the Red Lion after this one.
Of course you did. No, you didn't see them. You opened for them, remember?
No, I jumped up on stage with them and sang Aces High. That was what. So anyway, this album is just. I just remember that album cover as well, man. Eddie the Pharaoh. I just remember, like you say, Mark, didn't you? You're in a different world. You're looking at it. The music's playing. The lyrics are there. It's just the artwork as well. It just summed it up. What a great band they were at the top of their game at this point for me.
How cool is the mascot, Eddie? Like, it's just it's so great, isn't it? Like, it's just, you don't always need a mascot, or like, you could argue Kiss's symbol, the way they write their name and stuff, is iconic, and you know, some bands just have just that symbol, that font, let's say, the way they not write their name or whatever. But that mascot's so good,
mate. When you see them live and you see like a 22-foot Eddie run out, like, you know, and just head banging and that, it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So,
were you not tempted to go with Live After Death, so you could have most of Power Slave and some other ones as well?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was thinking about live albums as well when I was doing this list, or a greatest hits, or, you know, because you could have a Iron Maiden greatest hits, couldn't you? But I think sometimes the deeper cuts for me, you know, like the Duelists that's on that is one of my favourite Iron Maiden tracks. Like, it's just amazing track. You know, there's some others on there that didn't go on Live After Death. But I don't know, when I was younger, I used to love live albums, but not so much now. I'm very studio orientated now for some reason. Don't know why, but there you go.
You've been listening to too much Frontiers.
Yeah. So that's my second one, guys. Iron Maiden, Power Slave, 1984.
Good choice.
My seventh one, sorry. Number 8, Darren, let's go. What you got, mate?
Yeah, you know what? As I said earlier on, we all bring a little bit of flavour here, and I'm going to go with a blues rock band which I really like. Got them behind me here. Hall & Oates, a bit of Philly soul. Philly soul rock. Let's say. You know what? There's either great duos or shit duos. Do you ever notice that? You've got like they're either great or they're bad. You know, you've got like, I was about to say it. You've got Millie. It's funny how you all jump to it. You've either got Milli Vanilli or you've got Simon and Garfunkel, right? Yeah. Or you've got like Jedward, or you have. Bet Jedward is the first time it's ever been said on this channel. Or you got Jedward, or you have Hall & Oates, and I'm going with their 10th album, 1981, Private Eyes, which I just think is a great album. And I haven't always, when we've been doing these last couple of videos, when I've been looking at my choices in terms of Desert Island discs, I haven't always gone for what the best singles are. I've kind of gone for, like I did with the previous album, what takes you on the best roller coaster of a journey. But for this particular one, I've gone for what the best singles were on this album, because I just think there's 3 or 4 absolutely brilliant singles on this. You've got I Can't Go For That. You've got Private Eyes, which is the most 80s video you've ever seen in your life, but just a great song. It's a toe tapper. You guys are metal guys, I get it, but don't get me wrong, you're toe tapping when Private Eyes comes on. Ooh. And my favorite song is on this by Hall & Oates, Did It In A Minute, which is my favorite song when I chose my top 5 coolest songs by Hall & Oates. Just great song. So I went with this one specifically because of the album cover, because of the cheesiness of the videos, and because I love Did It In A Minute. So 1981, Private Eyes, Hall & Oates.
You know, when you were saying Jedward, I thought that was going to be one of your good duet. I thought that was like,
Stop that now. Stop that, right?
Sorry, mate. Okay. Jam, what you got, mate?
Right, this is the most modern one on my list, 1992. And it is going back to the grunge period again. And this is one of Lee's favourite bands, Alice in Chains. And it's Dirt by Alice in Chains. This is the classic lineup, obviously, with Lane Staley, before he did do another album after this, but obviously he's no longer with us. And it's an album all about drug dependency and a journey, and how, you know, I guess emotions, it wasn't really done in those days. I mean, the grunge era did bring in that sort of thing, the emotional side to music, rather than just singing about girls and rock and all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely a journey. I mean, some people might find it depressing, but I find it quite uplifting, really. I mean, some of the songs are certainly like something like Wood, or some of the songs are a bit more uplifting, and some of them are a bit miserable, like Rooster, Down in a Hole, that sort of thing. But you've got to have a mixture of all things. Sometimes you just want to sort of go into yourself and listen to some music, and it's certainly a trip. Dirt is one of those albums where you do tend to listen to the whole album rather than just listen to the odd song off it. It works as a piece of music.
Not for
everybody.
There's almost a concept to this album. I don't know if you know, Jam. I mean, when this band first came on MTV, because MTV was still a music channel back then, there's interviewing them, and there's almost from the song Rooster, it's a concept right up until I think it's a Angry Chair, I think.
Angry Chair, yeah.
There's someone going in the army, obviously suffering when they get back home and then getting into drugs and all that. And yeah, people would say it's depressing, I suppose, but it's just absolutely, what a vocal performance as well by Lane Staley. He's without a doubt his strongest vocal performance for me. It's when his voice was so strong. Oh man. Yeah.
And you know what? Like, to be fair, who doesn't want to listen to a depressing album every now and again?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a way of letting loose emotions. Like, it's a way of kind of like, there's nothing as good. Like, you can have a great life, you know, you can have your wife, you can have your whatever, you can have your life going on or whatever you're doing. But there's nothing as good sometimes as just having a beer and listen to a song that is a depressing album or a depressing song. It releases emotions within you, be that memories, be that something that you're feeling inside you. You can kind of release the emotion through that.
Yeah, it's very much to say, probably on a par. Obviously, one of my other choices was Pearl Jam. It's sort of like a soundscape. It's sort of like just a piece of music that deserves to be listened to in its entirety, I find. But
and it's funny what you're saying about the grunge era last week as well, Jam. It was really good points you're making there about, you know, why is it labelled grunge when it's just like any other time in music, and it was just metal basically. And what you can say about especially this album from Alice in Chains, I mean the other Alice in Chains albums, you could say they were leaning more towards the other bands that were around in Seattle at the time, but this Dirt album was purely Black Sabbath for me. Purely doom music. That's what it was, but with great vocalists, man. Great choice.
We said it last week, Lee. We won't labor the point, but Jam said something I've never really heard described before, and he described grunge as a movement, not a musical style. And I thought that was brilliant. And I'd never heard anyone describe it that way before. And I've done nothing but you know, rail on grunge. But I thought that was a really good point last week.
Yeah, you're totally right. And it actually, you know, whether you like the music that came out at that time or not, you can't deny that they were as different. Yeah. The genre was different within that grunge movement than anything now. You know, and
I'd like to say to people who don't think they like that sort of stuff just because they think it's all one thing, to try other bands because they're not all the same.
No, you're right.
It's certainly worth. I think it stands up better now. Perhaps when you listened to it 20 years ago, it did sound, you know, old-fashioned, if you like, now. But now going back 30 years later, it actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, because it's making that rock and roll thing's making another. Yeah. It's coming around full circle again, isn't it? Yeah, like it always does. You know what I mean?
I think, Jam, to cap off the point, I think what it always came down to was my resentment came from it was destroying a brand of music that I liked as opposed to hating it itself, if that makes sense. And I think your point last week made that clear to me, and I thought that was a really good point. So cool.
Good, mate. Great choice. What you got, Mark, for your 8? We're on 8, ain't we?
This is an old friend. We've mentioned it before, and I feel sure we'll probably mention it again. Rat, Invasion.
What an album, man!
Of Your Privacy.
Great album. Yeah,
brilliant.
I love every song on this. This is This is the pinnacle of Rat. I like what they did before. I like some of what they did after, but nothing compares to this album to me. Let's be honest. When you get through listening to the music, the cover, the cover gives you other things to do with your time.
Oh man, what a great album! You know what? I'm so glad you love that album the best for Rat, because it's always always goes on, and I love the debut album. Don't get me wrong, Out of the Cellar, I love it, but it's nothing compared to that album for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the same. I agree with that one. Invasion's better. I prefer it.
Without a doubt. What an amazing album that is.
Great choice. Great choice.
Yeah, it is. Okay, it's me, isn't it? Okay, 1988 I'm going to. This is probably out of my choices. Oh no, I've got a couple of obscure ones, but this band, they weren't around for long, put it that way. And I had to fight again over this because they're very similar to Queensryche, who I chose last week, and it's Crimson Glory and the album Transcendence from 1988. So this is just what an amazing album. And this vocalist, now he's sadly passed away now at an early age. His name was Midnight. I don't think that's his real name. I'm sure it's not. But man,
great if it was.
Oh yeah, what an amazing voice. I mean, very Jeff Tate-ish, but so much, I think, more emotion he puts into his singing. He put everything into his singing. He reached some heights that you wouldn't believe. And this album just, I think Jonathan Johnson mentioned the production on this album, or the mix on this album, that it stands up today. It sounds just as heavy as anything today, and it came out in '88. It's an amazing album. A little bit progressive, but not loads, not overly progressive, mainly sort of heavy, but really melodic all the way through it. I really suggest anyone who hasn't heard it and they like a bit of Queensryche and that's Maiden, that sort of stuff, but that Transcendence is as good as anything Queensryche did at the top of their game. It's just absolutely amazing. Transcendence, I think it deserves a lot of love, and it obviously hasn't got all the love. In a way, with Todd the Tourer, I sort of wish I love that he's with Queensryche, but he didn't make any music with Crimson Glory when he joined them. They brought out one, like a demo version, like they did something in the studio, and it was great. But man, I wish they'd done an album or two. But then we wouldn't have Queensryche then, would we? So the way it is now. So, but absolutely amazing. Crimson Glory, Transcendence. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, you've mentioned them a few times. I've listened to a bit of them. I haven't listened to much, but they do sound pretty good. So I will give them another try.
Okay. Was that Dan?
Sorry, Dan, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say thanks for the nomination for Operation Mindcrime, by the way, because this has been one of the most tricky videos that I've been making. There's so many. It's not that. Don't get me wrong. There's so many songs on the album that's so hard to make. But it's a long album. What is there? 14, 15 songs on it, so it's quite long. But anyway,
there's a few little ones on there though, and there's a few little musical passages and shit though. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it though. I've been listening to it day in, day out. So I want to do it justice. Anyway, we keep going. I will go for my next choice. Lee, you know what? I've done a little cheat kind of thing on the last one where I up front when we talked about this on the last video, I said I don't want to start pulling out Foreigner 4 and Vital Signs and all the usual stuff. I can't get away from it. I have to put in FM. It's a Desert Island disc. I got to do it. I have to put in FM. And
good,
I'm going Tough It Out, 1989. Me and you love that album. I would imagine, Lee, if me and you met up for a couple of beers, this is the album we'd put on and just sit back in the chairs and just listen to it and sing along or whatever.
Yeah.
Just the tunes on it. You've the title track, Tough It Out, the ballad Every Time I Think of You, the fist pumper, Feels So Good. Just great. Yeah. Me and my mates, I've told you this a couple of times, play a game called YouTube Battles, and the lads come over and we all get a go at the laptop and we just go round and round all night, and everyone gets a go on the laptop to type out your song you want to play. My friend Shane said that FM are like a YouTube Battles cheat card. No matter what song you play, it's always great.
Yeah, I do love them, man.
We're banned from playing FM. They're just so good every time.
They're a great band, man. They are a great band.
One last thing I'll say is we never give it too much of a shout out, but the musicians out, we always shout out Steve Overland, but the musicians in the band, on bass, Murph Goldsworthy, on drums, Pete Up, and at this point in the band, Steve's brother, Chris Overland, who is a seriously underrated guitarist and songwriter. So, FM, Tough It Out, 1989.
Yeah.
Cam, have you any opinion on FM, or have you ever listened to them, or you're an English guy? Did you ever get around to them, or?
No, I've obviously heard of them, and I'm sure I've heard songs on Planet Rock, whatever, but I couldn't name you a song. But it's not probably my sort of thing, probably not. But
maybe not.
But you never know. I mean, I wouldn't dislike it. I just, I think probably it's the heavier music. Yeah,
it's melodic rock. Yeah, okay,
yeah, cool. not really my thing necessarily, but Yes.
Great choice, mate. Glad you got one. There's nothing wrong with choosing one that you know, we know you like. I mean, look at me, Maiden, Dio. I've gone obvious, so there you go. But you know, it's good. Okay, Jan, what you got, mate? Your number. What are we on anyway? We're on 8, aren't we?
That's
9.
one, isn't it?
9. Is it 9? It's 9. Sorry. Yeah, 9.
Yeah, you've got one more, I think, Darren. I've got 2 more. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, this one is one Darren would like if you haven't heard of them, because very much Stone's influence. It's the Black Crows and Shake Your Money Maker, the debut album from them, released in 1990. For me, if you had to define what rock and roll music was, it's this album. It's just absolutely perfect. It's rock and roll, slightly heavier, distorted, because it's sort of more in the hard rock category, but it is just pure rock and roll. Every song on it is fantastic. Sing along. His voice is fantastic here. Chris Robinson on vocals. His guitarist, his brother's guitarist in the band. They've had a big falling out since, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But they've this is the debut album, and it's just got some great songs on it. Jealous Again, Hard to Handle, which is the Otis Redding cover, which is really good. You might have heard that as well, because they do play it a lot on the radio rather than the actual original version. And one of my favourite ballads, She Talks to Angels, which is absolutely fantastic. And the album is just pure rock and roll. Say, if you haven't heard it, you'd love it. They've done a lot of albums after that, and they've broken up, and they're actually reunited to do a tour, and they're actually going to play the whole of Shake Your Money Maker, and I'm going to see it, which I can't wait to see. But fucking tickets are 75 bloody quid, cheeky monkeys.
Yeah, that's
Standard.
a lot. Yeah,
That's quite a lot of money for just an arena gig, I think, for someone who's not massive. But anyway, I can't wait to see it, because I haven't been to a gig for 2 years, so or a year and a half. So it should be good. But
it's a very, very good. It's a very, very good choice. And Lee, would that be fair to say that's the first time the Black Crows have been mentioned on your channel? I could be wrong.
They probably are, but you know what? They've got that. What I like in it is a lot of Southern influence there, especially on the couple of their the next album was my favourite actually. Is it the Southern Musical Companion? Or
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They've got a lot of ties with the band. This band that I've got on as well. They got the lead singer of Black Crows gave them this name, Blackberry Smoke. But they're good mates as well. So they've got real Southern influence there. So yeah, great choice, mate. Yeah.
Do you know this? Do you know the album already?
Yeah, I do. I know the album. Yeah.
No,
sorry, Darren. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's good. Very good. Yeah. Great choice.
Okay, Mark.
All right, the next one is going to be my favorite album by Blue Oyster Cult. It's called Heaven Forbid. Came out in 1998. DOC is a little bit like UFO to me. Their stuff's kind of hit and miss over the years. They've done a lot of different styles of music. They usually get lumped in as heavy metal, but a lot of their stuff is not metal. This is the closest to a full-on metal album they've ever done. A couple of songs on here that are full-blown metal. This was probably 8 out of 10 to me. There's only a couple of songs on here I don't like. They're just so melodic. And like I said, this album is pretty heavy by Blue Oyster Cult standards.
I've got to admit, when you're totally right about them mixing it up. I mean, their new album, when I heard each song come out, is it last year or this year, their new album?
Yeah.
Every song sounded completely different.
Yeah, that was a good example. I like about half of that album.
Yeah.
There's a couple of heavy songs on that album. Some of the other stuff is AOR. Some of it is almost like folksy type. You know, they're all over the place, but they're very talented. And I've mentioned before, Buck Dharma, the lead guitarist, who does about half of the vocals as well. He's just an amazing guitarist. Blue Oyster Cult was the last concert I saw before COVID. And I had seen them back in 93 or 94, but I was about 3 sheets to the wind at that show. Didn't remember a whole lot about it, but this show I was up close and personal, and it was just almost a religious experience watching him at his craft. Incredible guitar, great singer, and got some classic songs over the years, but this one's my favorite. It doesn't get a whole lot of play. Because like I said, 1998, they were not exactly a household name at that point, but probably their heaviest all around album.
I think sometimes when bands mix it up, can do it a bit too much, can't they? Mix the album up, and they don't know which direction they're going.
They innate some fans, they attract a few new ones, but yeah, they don't really fit into any. I'll call them hard rock, but they're not necessarily metal, even though they've been kind of lumped into that over the years. But, yeah.
Mark, that's an interesting. You should say that, because for a long time I've been meaning to ask you this. As to, you like to tease me about the concerts you've gone to see, like the likes of Journey. So I know you like that soft element of it. But where is it that you fall off the cliff? Is this it? Is this where you go? Is this about as far as you go, and then I'm out? Or how far off the cliff do you go when it comes to metal? Before you go, I'm out.
You mean on the lighter side?
I mean on the heavier side. I mean, how Cookie Monster does it have to go before you go? I'm done.
I love Metallica. I like some of the other thrash bands. I like certain Megadeth songs. I like certain Slayer songs. I'm definitely not into death metal. There's a band called My Dying Bride. I don't know if any of you have ever heard, but they're a very doomy, very Sabbathy. They have some Cookie Monster vocals in theirs. I like some of their stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely not into the black metal or the death metal.
There is that seesaw before you kind of go.
Yeah, I've said before, I've got to have melody. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be upfront, melody like, Dawkins, but it's got to have some melody in it, or it just does not play well to my ear. That's the great thing about Metallica. I mean, they're heavy as hell, but they're very melodic.
Oh yeah.
So that's why they're so huge, because they attract from, so many different types of fans.
Yeah.
Agreed. And Lee, that's what I've always said to you. That Metallica, who I've seen at this point a couple of times, but Metallica is about as far as I go.
Yeah. I'm not much further than that myself, mate. I mean, I can listen to some thrash, and I can be on the verge of that. There's some thrash bands that are great out there that sound just a little bit more, I suppose. Testament, they're really good, but they're very melodic. They're like Metallica, in their heaviest days. Listen to Testament now, it's like listening to Metallica in 1986, but no, great. Absolutely great choice that, mate. Okay, we're going to like this one. My next one, guys, is Alice in Chains and Dirt.
Oh,
whoa.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah, I mean,
good choice.
yeah, just absolutely brilliant. I wanted to choose something from that era as well, because I did get into the grunge movement, as you can say. I got into all those bands like a lot.
Did you wear the flannel?
No. I looked the way I do now, exactly the same. All them years, bald as well. But I got into it big time, especially Pearl Jam at the beginning. The first couple of albums I loved. Alice in Chains were my favourite band out of all that time, and they still are now. A bit of Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, that sort of stuff. But I thought, that Dirt album is. We was talking about, should we do a perfect album show, and we did the Desert Island. Every song on that Dirt album is just amazing, absolutely amazing. It is a bit depressing, but you're right, Jam, I don't get depressed when I listen to it, but people, it's come on in my car, and my missus has gone, oh, that's a bit dreary, isn't it? Because even lyrically it's very, do you know what I mean, down in a hole. Like you said, it's a bit much for some people, but it definitely was lightning in a bottle, if you like, and probably out of bad experience of the band and the drugs and all that, they pulled off an album that was just, ahead of its time as well. Absolutely amazing. So Dirt is my 9th choice, guys.
Great choice.
We're up to number
Very
10.
good.
We're up to our last album. Imagine that. You've got to give this is it. You can't take any more with you guys. So what's your 10th choice?
Well, we can leave one of our Dirt behind, can't we?
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Right. Okay. What you got, Darren? Your last choice, mate.
I can't think of a better one. This one kind of solidified a couple of friendships for me. Initially when I listened to it, and then we got talking about it a little bit on this channel, and eventually I done a video on it because Mark asked me to. And from that, I got one of my most loyal subscribers on my channel over the last month and a half, Delina, who has been a great subscriber of me. So I'm on the Damn Yankees and their self-titled album from 1990. And I love this album for a number of reasons. I would bring it to the desert island because it reminds me of friends, but also it's a super group where I think everyone brings something to the table from it. It's versatile. You've got, everyone could do a little bit of something vocally, everyone can play instruments, everyone can do a little bit of something. You got Ted Nugent, you got Tommy Shaw, who Delina's page, she runs it, I'll say it again, she runs a good Tommy Shaw page on YouTube. You've got Jack Blades, you've got the single High Enough, you've got the deep tracks like Rock City and Bad Reputation. I just think supergroups come together sometimes and it doesn't work because there's too many cooks in the kitchen. But on this one, I think it works, and it works great. Big personalities, but it seems to gel. We talked about Bad English before on your channel, Lee, who it kind of fizzled out a little bit towards the end, despite the talent that was in the group, Dean Castronovo and the Journey guys. But I don't think this one fizzled out. I just think they went back to the mothership. They went back to Night Ranger. They went back to Styx, and they kind of got on with their normal life. But I don't think there was any falling outs here, and I think it was a good chemistry. So I'm going Damn Yankees, 1990.
Good that you mentioned Night Ranger there, mate. They've just brought out a new, I haven't listened to it because I might react to it tomorrow, but they brought a new single out. So they've got an album coming out this year. So I don't know what it's going to be like because I was never a Night Ranger fan as such. But it's something new. It's on Frontiers, I believe, again.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what it's like. It might not be my sort of thing, but I thought, it's quite a big name that in it, especially in America, Night Ranger. They were a big band back then, but not so much over here.
They were, and I think Jack Blades just brought something really cool to this project. And like I said, I would bring this on the desert island. It reminds me of Mark Clower, my good friend. It reminds me of the French Shane. It reminds me of Delina as well. It's just, when I hear it now, it reminds me of fun times, good conversations, and great music.
I was just going to say, I don't think there was really an intention for that to be their full-time gig. And it's really kind of surprising that they did a follow-up to it. Ted is always going to be Ted.
Ted.
He's never going to take the back seat. I don't think there was ever any intention of him burying his solo career. Like I said, I don't think there was any intention of, Tommy leaving Styx or Jack leaving Night Ranger. This was just a perfect place and time when their schedules, when the planets aligned, and they were able to make this happen. And we got two awesome albums out of it. And like you, I pray for a reunion one day while they're still young enough to do it. I keep hoping they'll allot a certain amount of time to do an album and hopefully another tour someday. But whether it happens or not, we've still got those two albums.
Good choice, mate. Good choice for your 10, mate. Your last one. Okay. Jam. What you got, mate?
Okay, right. As I went into this, I think we were talking about doing it as a collective of the 10 albums I wanted to take. So I wanted to have a variety of stuff. So when I look at what I picked already, I had Pearl Jam, 10, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, War of the Worlds, Ramones Loco Live, Queen's Reich, Empire, and obviously Danzig Today, The Doors, Alice in Chains, Black Crowes. And I thought, well, there's nothing really heavy on there, so I need to balance it up for something when I want a bit heavier. Picked an album that's past 1992 either, which is a bit strange. And I picked 3 from the same year, 1990. But I'm going for this from 1988. And Justice for All, Metallica. And it is my favourite Metallica album. Obviously, some people don't appreciate the lack of bass on it. Well, I think we've talked about this enough. And I'm sure people have talked it to death. I like it. I like the sound of it personally. I wouldn't want it changed. Obviously, I know there is a version with the bass put in, but I wouldn't want it. I like the sound of it personally. I think it's absolutely groundbreaking at the time. Never heard anything like it in 1988. Nothing sounded like this. It was fantastic. I think every song on it is brilliant. Even the instrumental. I don't like instrumental songs, but even that's a good song. And it's just brilliant. Apart from probably hearing one too much. At the time, I loved one, but it's just heard too much now. But I mean, Harvester of Sorrow, Blackened, title track, and then my favourite, Shortest Straw as well. That's another great song. And then my favourite song, Dyer's Eve, which is the last track on the album. So fast, so heavy, so difficult to sing. I mean, I've heard it about a million times because it's my favourite song, and I'm not a singer, but it's so difficult to sing that song, getting the timing right on it. So I know they don't do it live much, but I'd love to see him. And my favourite Metallica album by far.
It's quite cool, isn't it, Lee? It's quite cool that, if anyone ever went back and just binge watched your videos, you have you've got a bit of everything now. You've got that album.
Oh yeah.
I obviously love Ride the Lightning, and you love Master of Puppets. I can't remember. Sorry, Mark. Apologies. I can't remember exactly which is your favorite, but you got a bit of everything now from Metallica. There you go.
Well, what do you like then, Mark? Which one's your favorite?
Probably Master, if I had to pick a favorite. Master followed very closely by Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, same here.
Love the first three.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't like the first one, but I do like A Justice for All.
I like certain songs, and the production wasn't great, but there are some amazing classics on Kill 'Em All.
Nah, great, mate. Really good choice, that. I remember getting it. I like it a lot more now. I think I've said this before than I did then. I was a bit shocked after hearing Master of Puppets and that real, like, bassy sound that Master of Puppets had. A bit like, when you hear Heaven and Hell. I know it's completely different, but that real bass that hit you. And even the guitar sound on that Master of Puppets, it had so much depth in it. And I put that on, that Blackened, and I was like, I was thinking the bass are coming in a minute. And it was just like, I heard them drums and I thought, yeah. And I think at the time it was just a bit of a shock, what I've heard before. But it does grow on you. And if you turn this album up, it sounds fucking excellent.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does, yeah.
Great.
It's a great album.
Okay.
Jam, can I just ask Jam one last time? I assume, unlike me, the fraud, I assume that's an original copy.
Yeah, this one's original. The Danzig one wasn't, but this is an original one. It's a double. It's a double vinyl. No, it's double.
Yeah, double, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful!
it's too long, that's right.
Yeah.
I can almost smell the fucking dust off it.
I'm sorry, I thought, because I used to have that. I thought it opened up. Is it not a gate? Is it not a? No.
Mine isn't.
Perhaps I'm mistaken because there were so many that were and some that weren't.
You don't have an originally.
Mate, I got rid of all my fucking records years ago. I wish I kept them obviously now, but
Mark definitely has that album somewhere in his wife's closet.
I don't CD. I don't have the LP. I got CD and cassette. I don't have the LP.
Well, mine might not be original. I might have got it in 1990, but it's obviously of the time. It's not a repressing, but
it's not a repressing.
If you got it in 88, it might be the gatefold. To be fair, I don't know. But 99,
Very cool.
Whenever I bought it, wasn't.
Very cool. Very cool.
I've got a price on it. No.
Good one, mate. Okay, Mark, what's your 10th choice, mate? What you got?
All right, I held this one back because I kept thinking this is another one I was pretty sure you were going to pick.
Oh fuck! No, don't tell me I've forgotten one. Oh my god! Wait.
I'm shocked if this wasn't on your list, but it has to be on this island.
Oh yeah, it's a good album though. Yeah.
Docking Under Lock and Key.
Yeah.
It's 9 out of 10. There's only one song on it that sucks.
Slipping away.
I think we agree on that one, but yeah, I held that one back for last in case you were gonna bring it up. But yeah, I can't be on that album or can't be on that island without the album.
Yeah, it's a great album, man. And again, the next one was thought as the best, wasn't it? Back for the Attack. Everyone says that's the best one. No fucking way. No way. Under Lock and Key's the one, mate.
I agree.
Brilliant album. Absolutely love it. That guitar sound on that George Lynch had. I wish he got that back now because it ain't the same, is it? That guitar sound now. He ain't got that tone. And I wish Don Dockett's voice would come back as well.
Well, John Levin actually sounds more like Lynch than Lynch does now.
Yeah. He just needs a bit more electric, if you like, into his guitar sound. It almost sounds like he's got a clean guitar sound now, like he's not got any effects on his guitar. It's fucking weird. It's still good, but it's not like it was, that real crunch.
Right.
I mean, the fucking Robbie McCauley album's got that crunch on it,
Exactly.
hasn't it? The new one. Fucking weird. Really strange. Great choice though, mate. One of the big parts of my me growing up, that album.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, my 10th album, I've gone for a lot of obviously different styles of music, like all you guys have, trying to get a bit of a mixture. So I ain't listening to the same stuff on my desert island with my solar powered. Oh, sorry, my push bike. Can I have headphones on when I'm on my push bike? Is that all right?
No.
Anyway, so.
Although if it's your album, I guess I'm cycling the bike.
I've said before, Mark should like this sort of music, but he doesn't, being a southerner. But a bit of southern rock for me on my last choice. So this band, Blackberry Smoke, I absolutely love them. They've got a new album coming out this Friday as well. Every song off it that I've heard so far is amazing. But it's their album, The Whippoorwill, which came out in 2012. Just pure southern rock, Skinnerd type rock. We're talking 70s Skinnerd. Just sounds so classic. The first time I heard it, I thought this sounds so classic. Some would say a little bit too country for some people. It does. It's really on the border of being country and rock. But there's something about this band that I absolutely love. And The Whippoorwill is their outstanding album for me. There's a guy up the road who I didn't know on Facebook who's on the Blackberry Smoke UK fans Facebook said, yeah, is there any Blackberry Smoke fans in the UK? Where are you? And I said Cornwall, when he lives in Plymouth, which is 15 minutes away. So we're going to get together for a beer soon. So music bringing us together again. So yeah, absolutely love this band. I had to get a bit of southern rock on there. I was really torn between this and the Skinnerd the debut album, Pronounced, which has got Freebird, Tuesday's Gone, and all them classics. But I went for something a bit newer. 2012 Blackberry Smoke, Whippoorwill. There you go. That's my 10th album. Okay, guys. Right, I did say at the beginning of this, we get a couple of ones maybe, if you've got any, that you done your head in not choosing them. So I've got. Let's have a little look. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 that I wished I could have on the list, but I couldn't.
Oh, you could just keep going. You could just keep going and going and going. I mean, we could do a whole other video on our honorable mention.
Yeah, but I mean, I could have had a lot more, but these are ones that today I was still contemplating putting on instead of the ones I got, but I couldn't. So Jam, have you got any? Sorry, Darren, have you got any?
Yeah, it's like letting a spring off. It's like going, yeah, you've held back for 2 videos now. You've been good. Now say what you want to do, So I went for Chicago 17 earlier. Go for Chicago 16. I'll put it on. Why not? Vital Signs, Frontiers, Ride the Lightning, all the usuals. Escape, all, if I'm on a desert island, they're the albums I want to hear. I will say one last thing for it and my go. If Frontiers Records are listening, start sending Lee a few albums. The man is like promoting your record label to death. This is me talking, not Lee. Start sending him a few records. He is killing it with his reviews of the Frontiers label.
I've just started getting them.
Okay.
So yeah, they sent me the new Michael Sweet and Tracy Gunn's album early. Well, not the album. I get a link to listen to the album. I had that the other day, and I got the new. There's a couple of Brazilian vocalists that brought an album out coming out. Brother Against Brother. They sent me that as well. So
all right, I take it back. Sorry, Frontiers. I jumped the gun, but keep sending Lee the albums. He's smashing it with your record label. Send him some finals. Come on, be fair.
Yeah.
The man is killing it.
I'll have to get a record player then, though. So, I mean, I'd rather have the links. But thanks anyway.
I can't win. Right, whatever.
They look good behind me, though, downstairs.
Yeah, they look good behind you. You can put them on behind you. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Cheers. Okay, Jam, you got any like you really wanted to get on there, but you couldn't?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short. I've got a few that I think a few of the ones I wanted to pick. I think I haven't picked them in my list because I probably don't listen to them anymore. I think that was what the key was for me. That some of these ones I've picked on my list I would actually probably listen to now. That's the difference. So some of these albums I really love, but I just don't listen to them anymore. But yeah, Faith No More, Angel Dust. I love that album. A lot of people obviously prefer The Real Thing and didn't like Angel Dust when it came out, but for me, Angel Dust is a much better album. Well, in fact, I love The Real Thing as well, but Angel Dust is great. Not for everybody, Faith No More, of course. Wolfsbane, Live Fast, Die Fast. Debut album for Wolfsbane, who went on to Blaze Bailey, went on to sing for Iron Maiden. Fantastic album. You've seen Wolfsbane all over UK. But once again, I just don't listen to it anymore. But it's still a fantastic album. I think it was mentioned in someone's comments as well. And Earth versus the Wild Hearts, the debut album for the Wild Hearts, another British band, fantastic, really, really good album. Can't say enough about the Wild Hearts, but I've got the All Killer thing we're doing, so we'll be mentioning all these bands anyway. And I've got some others, but I won't bore anybody with those. So.
I've got to say though, Jam, I don't know but you really do, which is a good thing. You really are a fan of British metal, aren't you?
I was about to say that. I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, it's good, man. It is good. I mean, I was really in the 80s. I was really pulled into the American market myself. Really, like in the Sunstrip strip. Like I was like into all them bands, you know. But it's good, man, that you are into all that British stuff. It's good.
Oh yeah, there's some other bands to mention, like the Almighty and Thunder and all these ones to come yet. So good stuff.
Yeah, good. Okay, Mark. You probably got you got all your albums out. You're going to put 100 albums out now.
I'll make it quick. Wasp, The Last Command.
Nice.
Loudness, Thunder in the East. Kiss, Revenge.
Nice.
Rainbow, Stranger in Us All, and probably my favorite Ozzy album, Bargain.
Nice.
Interesting.
J.K. Lee, man.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with him.
If you didn't stop Mark Lee, they just keep coming by like The Price is Right. They just keep going along.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, on my list, I've got Rat, Invasion of Your Privacy. Privacy. What do you reckon, Mark? I've got Operation Mindcrime. I couldn't have that and Rage for Order, could I? I just,
no.
You know what I mean? But that's a massive
album.
Brilliant. I had Under Lock and Key, Dokken. And the last one I had is a brand new album, another bit of Southern rock. I absolutely love this album, but I haven't had it long enough to tell you the truth to think, would I want it on the desert island with me? But it's just blown me away. And it only came out last week or the week before from a band called The Steel Woods. It's All of Your Stones, it's called. With a sad story behind this one. So the album was completed and recorded, and the guitarist passed away in February. All the work was done on the album, so the guitarist is playing on the album, but it's really strange because some of the subject matter is it's about missing your loved ones and stuff like that you've lost. It's almost like, I don't know, it's about him, but it's not, because he was just there at the time. But it's sad, but it's a real brilliant Southern rock album. And I think it will be a classic, to see the truth. They're a great band, Steel Woods. There you go. All done, guys. That's my honourable mentions.
Good choices. How many did you have there, Lee? 5?
Yeah, about 4 or 5, yeah. I mean, like I said, these are the first ones that popped into my head. I'll probably be watching this show or thinking about this show, and then an album will come on in the car in the next few weeks, and I'll think, fuck, I wanted that on there. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? You know, it's done now.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to us at YouTube battles when the lads leave and we're all texting on the Sunday with hangovers and go, why didn't I play that song? You know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, then, guys. Look, thanks for coming on. It's been absolutely brilliant as always. So entertaining. So, and I've loved the choices. Honestly, the variation.
Mix there.
Brilliant mix. And if we actually do, you know, you come over, we have a beer, and then we might go on a fishing trip, mightn't we?
Okay.
We're in Cornwall, and then we could get drifted out to sea, all of us on the boat at the same time. but we're going to have to take these albums with us just in case. Are we?
Yep. And don't forget the bike or the solar powered MP3 player.
Yeah, exactly.
Lee, what do you mean we're going off the coast of England to a desert island? Then we're hitting fucking Jersey or the Isle of Wight. I thought we were going to a desert island somewhere in the Caribbean.
We're just over from our local town, Lou. There's Lou Island, which is about 300 meters into the sea. We could go there.
Brilliant.
Listen, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on as always, and hope to see you again soon. All right.
Cheers.